How terrifying is XiaoYan's strength when he comes to Long Island for the second time? With one move to abolish the semi-sage powerhouse, Qing and Elder Candlely were stunned. XiaoYan entered the Taishu Gulong clan this time and helped Xian successfully resolve the crisis. Although the current crisis is over, the other three islands of the Taishu Gulong clan are all eyeing Donglong Island. After the Mishima coalition forces were repelled by Xian this time, the next three Dragon Kings will personally attack Donglong Island. These three Dragon Kings are all terrifying beings at the level of Doshing. With one shot, Donglong Island is difficult to parry. After XiaoYan learned that Donglong Island was in trouble, he once again came to the Taishu Gulong clan to help Xian. At this moment, how terrifying is XiaoYan's strength? Even the semi-sage powerhouse was easily killed by XiaoYan, and Qing, who was dying at a critical moment, was rescued. After Qing saw XiaoYan's strength clearly, he was directly stunned. Unexpectedly, the last time XiaoYan left Dragon Island, he was only a 5-star Dozuan, and he still needed his help to deal with the strong man in the Soul Hall. Now that XiaoYan has stepped into the level of Doshing, how can Qing not be shocked? After XiaoYan learned that Donglong Island was attacked by the three Dragon Kings, he also invited the Doshing of the Heavenly Demon Phoenix clan to help. At this moment, XiaoYan also found the powerful warrior of the 9yu Emperor Ming Python clan and went to Donglong Island with him to support him. On the way, they also packed up the fighting saints of the Heavenly Demon Phoenix clan so that they did not dare to intervene in the matter of Dragon Island anymore. At this moment, XiaoYan arrived in the area of Donglong Island with the powerful demon Ming of the 9yu Emperor Ming Python clan. XiaoYan's expression was solemn, and his figure rushed forward like an arrow from the string. However, a few minutes later, XiaoYan suddenly paused and frowned. He was keenly aware that a familiar breath came from the depths of the void space on the left. Exploring along the breath, a thrilling battle appeared in front of him. In the darkness, a violent explosion of energy sounded, and a figure spat out blood and flew out, falling into the crowd, his face pale as paper. More than a dozen powerful figures are suspended in the air, especially the two old men who are the leaders. They seem to have ordinary aura, but they faintly exude palpitating coercion. They're the peak powerhouses who have reached the semi-holy level. Most of the 7 or 8 people who were surrounded were seriously injured. Among them, XiaoYan's acquaintances were Qing and Elder Zhili. It turned out that Qing and Zhili returned from patrolling. After learning the news of the 3 Dragon Islands attacking Donglong Island, they rushed back to support in a hurry, but on the way they encountered the blockade forces of the 3 Dragon Islands. The strength of the two sides was very different. The 3 Dragon Island troops, with 2 senior semi-sage powers, easily defeated them, and they chased them all the way to this point, vowing to kill them all. During the confrontation, the old man of the 3 Dragon Islands spoke contemptuously, ridiculing the Dragon Emperor of Donglong Island as a counterfeit, thinking that only the 3 Dragon Kings were orthodox. Elder Candlely's expression was gloomy, and he refuted his words, pointing out that the other party had violated the clan rules. In fact, the people of the 3 Dragon Islands are not unaware of the pure blood of the Dragon Emperor of Donglong Island, but they have been ruled by the 3 Dragon Kings for a long time, and their perceptions have changed. Although they dare not directly attack the Dragon Emperor, they show no mercy to other members of Donglong Island. The half-saint-level red-faced old man of Bailong Island impatiently urged his companions to make a quick decision and then launched an attack on Qing. Although Qing had reached the peak of the 8-turn Dozuan at this moment, he was simply vulnerable in front of the senior semi-sage powerhouse. Under one palm, the black engine armor cracked, blood gushed out, and his body flew out upside down, knocking several people over. Even after being hit hard, Qing's eyes were still wide open, his body swelled, and he was ready to fight to the death. Elder Candlely also broke out a monstrous vindictive spirit and started a fierce battle with the old man wearing armor. During the battle, the red-faced old man fought like a grim reaper. Every time he waved his sleeve robe, a Donglong Island warrior vomited blood and flew upside down. His armor burst, and he was captured by the 3 Dragon Island warriors. Seeing the tribulation of his people, He Qing was furious and rushed towards the red-faced old man regardless of his injuries, but in exchange for a more violent attack from the opponent. After a punch collided, the blue veins of He Qing's arm burst, blood arrows burst out, and the sound of broken bones was clearly audible. The whole person was blasted thousands of feet away, covered in blood suspended in the void, and all his strength was lost. The red-faced old man pressed closely step by step, his eyes indifferent, and slowly squatted down, putting his palm on the cover of the black Optimus Prime spirit, wanting to give a fatal blow. Elder Zhili, who was fighting fiercely in the distance, saw this scene. His heart was burning, and he roared out a warning. However, the red-faced old man was unmoved, and his words were full of sarcasm. Thinking that the Dragon Emperor could not protect himself and was powerless to take revenge. Just as his palm was about to exert force and crush He Qing's head at a close call, a cold palm quietly fell on the cover of his heavenly spirit, and a voice without the slightest pyrotechnic aura came. Say it's faster for you to crush his head, or am I faster? He Qing, who was already desperate and waiting to die with his eyes closed, heard this familiar voice and suddenly opened his eyes. It was XiaoYan's thin but extremely reliable figure that greeted him. He Qing looked at XiaoYan's figure that suddenly appeared next to him with a look of astonishment. And the palm of that figure was lightly pressed against the red-faced old man's fire-fighting heavenly spirit cover. This scene shocked He Qing, and the situation instantly became extremely tense. XiaoYan is the semi-holy powerhouse of Bailong Island, with a respected status. At this moment, his body is stiff in place, and he dare not move at all. The palm of the hand attached to the cover of the heavenly spirit was like the sickle of death. With a single shock, his head would burst into a mist of blood. XiaoYan's heart was full of fear and doubts. He was completely unaware of any fluctuations in the opponent's approach. He didn't know where this mysterious person came from and what kind of terrifying strength he had. At this moment, XiaoYan glanced at XiaoYan faintly and asked him to let go of He Qing's hand. XiaoYan's eyes flew, and he made a proposal to count to 3 and let go together. He Qing's complexion turned purple, and he roared in a low voice to let XiaoYan kill XiaoYan, thinking that it would be extremely cost-effective to exchange his life for the life of the semi-sage powerhouse. After thinking for a while, XiaoYan agreed to XiaoYan's proposal. When XiaoYan finished shouting 3, he felt his palm move away, immediately threw away He Qing, and flew out upside down. As he flew back, he saw XiaoYan's appearance clearly. Seeing that the other party was so young, he was taken aback. He immediately warned XiaoYan not to interfere in the affairs of the Taishu Gulong clan, and also moved out of the Dragon King of the 3 Dragon Islands to threaten. However, XiaoYan ignored the threat of fire at all. He squatted down, picked up He Qing, fed him a pill, and asked He Qing's condition with concern. He Qing smiled bitterly and shook his head, still regretting that XiaoYan didn't take the opportunity to kill XiaoYan. At this time, Elder Banlong, who was fighting with Elder Zhili, noticed the change here, and, after shaking Zhili back with a palm, he looked at XiaoYan coldly, warning him that it would be unwise to intervene in the matter. Elder Zhili was surprised and delighted when he saw XiaoYan appear. He knew the danger here and asked XiaoYan to leave with He Qing and stay to cover for himself. XiaoYan also stared at XiaoYan badly from the side, his words full of provocation. Facing the clamor of the fire battle, XiaoYan frowned slightly, stepped on the soles of his feet, and his figure disappeared instantly. XiaoYan's complexion changed drastically, and he hurriedly retreated, but he was still a step late. A big hand penetrated from the space and pressed on his heavenly spirit cover again, and a cold, warning sound followed. XiaoYan watched in horror as XiaoYan emerged from the void, trembling in his voice, guessing that XiaoYan was a strong fighter. He Qing and Elder Zhili were also stunned by this scene. They clearly remembered that XiaoYan was just a 5-star Dozuan a few years ago, but now he's become a Dozuan. This leap in strength made them unbelievable. XiaoYan didn't talk nonsense. He tapped his finger on Huajian's forehead, and a blood hole appeared in an instant, and the breath of Huajian quickly languished. Then XiaoYan wiped it casually, and a rune appeared on Huajian's forehead, sealed it, and then threw the person to Heiqing, easily indicating that he had captured Huajian without sacrificing Heiqing. Heiqing Ran took over the fire battle, looking at the semi-sage powerhouse who was once high above, but now so vulnerable in XiaoYan's hands. His heart was full of shock. Elder Zhili couldn't help swallowing. He knew that, even in his heyday, defeating the fire was not easy, but XiaoYan was so easy. Elder Banlong in the distance was horrified when he saw this scene and realized that XiaoYan was a real fighting saint powerhouse, and he and others could not contend with him. So he immediately shouted to retreat. He retreated violently, ready to go back to move the rescuers. Upon seeing this, Elder Zhili hurriedly asked XiaoYan to stop them from escaping, so as not to scare the snake. XiaoYan just smiled and nodded, but did not set off. Before long, the streamer flashed, and Demon Ming and his party grabbed the fleeing Banlong Elder and others, and appeared in front of everyone. Demon Ming smiled and threw Elder Banlong to XiaoYan, teasing that the ultimate Banlong saint could not afford to turn over any waves. XiaoYan took over the Elder Banlong, also sealed it and handed it to Heiqing, and also introduced to Elder Zhili that Demon Ming was the patriarch of the 9yu Emperor Ming Python clan. Elder Zhili became vigilant after learning about it, because the 3 Dragon Islands had wanted to cooperate with the 9yu Emperor Ming Python clan to deal with Donglong Island. Demon Ming quickly explained that it was his younger brother who agreed to cooperate, and now he has deprived him of his status as patriarch. This time, he was invited by XiaoYan and was willing to help Donglong Island. Elder Zhongli looked at XiaoYan, and after receiving a positive answer, his eyes were full of ecstasy. At this time, Donglong Island was in urgent need of reinforcements. XiaoYan asked about the situation on Donglong Island, and Elder Zhili sighed and said the terrible status quo. The 3 Dragon Islands came out of their nests, trying to obliterate His Majesty the Dragon Emperor when he did not reach his peak. Donglong Island was in chaos, and His Majesty the Dragon Emperor was also besieged by the 3 Dragon Kings. XiaoYan's face was solemn, realizing that the situation was more critical than he had imagined. He slowly exhaled, clenched his fists, and decided to go to Donglong Island. No matter how strong the 3 Dragon Kings were, he would rescue Xian. XiaoYan would never sit idly by and watch Xian fall in a crisis. A more intense battle seemed to be waiting for him in front. This dispute between the Taishu Gulong clan has undergone a huge transformation because of XiaoYan's appearance. In the deep and dark void space, the light seems to be swallowed up. Here is a lonely and dangerous world. The turbulence of space surges from time to time, which can easily smash the Dozuan powerhouse into pieces. For most powerful people, this is a dangerous place that cannot be avoided, but it is a natural dojo cultivated by the Taishu Gulong clan. They use the turbulence of space to control their power and refine their flesh, making this land of death a fertile ground for their own growth. Suddenly, a ray of light cut through the void, and a huge island was suspended in it. At this moment, Donglong Island is being shrouded in a fierce energy explosion, and a violent energy storm is sweeping outward from the center of the island, and everything within a radius of 10,000 miles is destroyed. Around the island, the troops of the 3 Dragon Islands laid a net of heaven and earth, closely monitoring every corner. Once someone tried to rush out, they were greeted by a torrential rain attack. Over the island, a strong man at the peak of the 9-turn Dozuan sat down. His expression was cold and his aura was better than that of Heiqing. At this moment, a group of streamers suddenly flashed in the distance, and the strong man's eyes were like torches, and he instantly recognized Heiqing among them, and immediately ordered an attack. In an instant, beams of energy and light shot towards the streamer, with a huge momentum. However, an indifferent voice came, and those seemingly powerful beams of light exploded in an instant, and an irresistible force gushed out. except for the strong man at the peak of the 9-turn Dozuin. The rest of them were instantly defeated and their armor burst. The strong man was shocked and angry, and questioned the identity of the visitor. The streamer dissipated. XiaoYan walked out slowly. His eyes crossed the strong man, and he locked the Donglong Island below. At this time, Donglong Island was devastated, and fierce battles were all over the place. The defense line of Donglong Island has shrunk from the periphery to the core Dragon Hall, which means that more than 2/3 of the island has been occupied by the 3 Dragon Islands, and the situation is in jeopardy. XiaoYan eagerly looked for Xian's figure, but was unsuccessful. At this moment, terrifying energy fluctuations came from the void space in the distance. He raised his eyes and saw that in the distant void, an aperture like a bright sun was suspended, and the shadows in the aperture collided like lightning. Every collision triggered a terrible energy storm. If it weren't for the distance from Donglong Island, the aftermath alone would completely destroy the island. XiaoYan's eyes were like torches, flames burning in his eyes, penetrating the aperture, and he could see the scene inside clearly. What caught my eye was a familiar and unfamiliar back. Xian, the little girl who used to be, has now transformed into a tall and touching beauty. Opposite Xian, the 3 middle-aged strong men were domineering, and they were the 3 Dragon Kings. XiaoYan clearly sensed that the strength of the 3 of them was at least at the level of 3-star Doshing. Next, XiaoYan will help Xian defeat the 3 Dragon Kings.